Okay, this is part 2. And if you can see, I burnt the tip of my finger during what the intro should. Anyways, welcome back to Apocalyptic Weather Survival Guide. Whether or not you can survive. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we do survive. And try not to burn ourselves. I was just barely getting started, too. Let's see, what was that? That's right. If your clothes catch fire, remember, stop, drop, and roll. Okay, so imagine for a moment that my sleeve and my chest area are on fire. Well, I'm going to automatically stop, drop, cover your face, and roll. And that will put it out. Theoretically, that works, is what they say. Most respond like, I'm on fire, no! That's called a panic. Try not to panic. Looking at the burnt tip of my finger makes me want to grill some hot dogs. I might do that. Remember, be careful, stay safe, and God bless you. Okay, when considering whether to tackle a small fire yourself, remember, when in doubt, get out and stay out and call for help, or evacuate immediately. Immediately. If there are other occupants or neighbors who are in danger, sound the alarm, or at least knock on their door. Okay. This is an example. All right, here we go.
I'm awake. What do you need?
Oh, well, I don't mean to bother you. I was just letting you know that your house is on fire.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Actually, it was a false alarm.
What? What? Ha, you're funny.
Okay, sorry to bother you. That was not an actual emergency, but if it was, she would have thanked me. And if you noticed, she responded quickly. Because as I mentioned previously, in an emergency fire situation, you may have as little as 2 minutes to respond. Either try to put it out or get out. Make sure your home has working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. This one can be wired in directly, but it also has a 9-volt battery option. That makes it portable. You should also have some kind of spray fire extinguisher in case of emergencies in your home. This one is for grease fires, and it has a simple spray mechanism just like a spray can. Spray paint, that is. Do not, under any circumstance, attempt to put out any fire with a can of spray paint because it is flammable. Being seriously serious. Read the instructions on the side of the can. Pretty self-explanatory. And follow those instructions carefully. Anyways, as I was saying, I really like these carbon monoxide and smoke detectors that have the 9-volt battery because they're very useful in dugout shelters or tents when you're out camping or trying to survive in the woods, in any kind of shelter. Those indoor fires that could not only cause your shelter to burn up, but the carbon monoxide could accumulate while you're sleeping and cause you to die. And we don't want to do that, so be prepared, be safe, be careful. Carbon monoxide and radon are odorless and deadly gases. Now, one way to test your 9-volt battery, I think most people know this, if you don't know if it's a live battery or not, is to lick it with your tongue. It'll give you a jolt, but it won't kill you. It's safe. Not telling you to do it, but you can if you want to test it to make sure it's a live battery. But what you may not know about a 9-volt battery, it can also start a fire. If this were to come in contact with this, some steel wool pads, actually use this glass bowl for this demonstration. Just put the steel wool in the bowl. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do this in the dark so you can really see it. Okay, that little red light that you see moving around is the bowl, and it has the steel wool in it, and here's the battery in front of it. If you can see, I'm about to attach the battery to the steel wool, and if you can see, well, what? It's not actually working. What? Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Didn't work. Well, this particular brand did not work for this demonstration. However, I do know that those kind of fires can and do happen. Just not when you're trying to make it happen. That's why they call it an accident. So don't turn your back. Be careful. Seriously. Yeah, it's a live battery. I don't know why it didn't work. It should have caught fire, you know? I guess it must have some sort of cleaning element. I mean, you don't see an invisible fire there, do you? It should be sparkling red. You can see other videos that show that it does work. Maybe this is the wrong battery. I don't think so. This is your common battery. Anyways, keep this contained just in case. Be safe. You don't want that accident to happen in your backpack while you're wearing it, especially. For example, if you had an emergency backup 9-volt battery for your carbon monoxide detector and you had your steel wool to clean out your pan after you were cooking, your cast iron pan, that is. That's what the steel scrubbers are for. Anyways, if it were to come in contact in your backpack, that would be bad. So be careful. When responding to a home fire, remember to check the doors and the door handles. Okay? If they are warm or hot, don't open the door. Find another exit. In a fire, the air is cooler near the floor. It is also much cleaner, so crawl low on your belly beneath the smoke. Oh no! Okay. Heads up. Oh no, the backpack's on fire. Now, when this happens, you can use a spray bottle, a sprayer that is, a water sprayer, to put out the fire. You want to completely saturate it. Make sure the water completely covers the area around the fire. Smother it out and keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't re-smolder. Take pump operated sprayer. You pump, point, and spray. Gives you a good 5 feet or so. Keep your distance and be safe. That stinks. Let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, no. This is unit 5 right there. That's a good steady. We should do that. We should start at the beginning, but we're going to start at chapter 6. Unit 6, that is, fire safety and utility controls. See? Right here. Fire safety and unit controls. Okay. Now, in this unit, you will learn about fire chemistry, how fire occurs, classes of fire, and choosing the correct means of extinguishing a fire, fire size-up considerations, how to evaluate fires, assess firefighting resources, and determine the course of action. Very important. Portable fire extinguishers, how to identify different types of portable fire extinguishers and how to operate them. Fire suppression safety. How to decide if you should attempt to extinguish a fire, how to approach and extinguish a fire safely. Hazardous materials, how to identify potentially dangerous materials in storage, in transit, and in your home. And fire and utility hazards, how to identify potential fire and utility hazards in the home and workplace. How it is important, or how to How to implement successful fire prevention strategies. It's all in here. And that's just unit 6. Dun, dun, dun. Don't play with fire. This is serious. Okay, the 3 P's of fire safety. That's the 3 P's of fire safety, as you can see. Number 1, prevent, prepare, pre-plan. And of course, number 2, plan. Have a plan to be prepared. Plan your fire escape strategy and practice fire drills. That's number 3, practice. Practice and be prepared. And don't play with fire. Okay, now the 4 steps of action in the event of a fire. If you can read along, be prompt and calm. Turn off any hazardous machinery, electrical appliances, things of that nature, okay? Do not stop to collect any personal belongings, a whole bunch of stuff to weigh you down on the way out and cause you to possibly burn up on the way to plan your escape. Because once again, you may have as little as 2 minutes to respond or escape. And to make your escape, head to the nearest fire exit. Once again, checking the door to make sure it's not hot. If so, you gotta plan another exit carefully. So that's the 4 steps of action in the event of a fire and how to respond quickly. Now the 5 things, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things you should never do in the event of a fire, if you can read along with me. Number 1, breaking windows. That could cause a backdraft. Backdrafts are very dangerous. As I already mentioned. Number 2, opening hot doors. Once again, or as I don't think I mentioned this actually, number 3, re-entering for items. You don't want to go back in for your stuff to weigh you down and cause you to possibly be consumed by the fire. Head to the nearest fire escape. Escape, escape. Number 4, many may think to try to hide in a bathtub or a shower. You want to be boiled like a lobster? Once again, things you should never do in the event of fire. You may have heard stories of somebody who survived by doing that, but chances are they were in that shower praying and God protected them. God will protect you. Prayer is the 5th P that was not mentioned previously. Or the 4th P, possibly. I lost count. Anyways, prayer is very important in any situation. Morning, evening, and night. Anyways, number 5, if you're in a large building, don't use the elevators. Don't use the elevators. You don't want to be trapped in an elevator in a burning building. For obvious reasons. If you don't understand that, it's because you will be burned up and consumed by that elevator when you're trapped there. Don't want to do that in the event of fire. So those are the 5 things that you should never do in the event of a fire. Wait, was I holding it backwards? I think I was holding it backwards. Oops. Anyways, those are the 5 things you should never do in the event of a fire. Okay? Don't do those things. Here's something you might consider doing. Okay, let's see. Now, these emergency blankets, also known as space blankets, as they were originally designed by NASA, are extremely flammable because the mylar material is combustible, extremely combustible. A tiny spark or high temperatures can ignite an emergency mylar blanket. As you see, it reflects the light though, as it also reflects body heat, and that's how it helps you in an emergency for cold situations. Many people use it to reflect the heat from their fire though. That's where it gets dangerous. Or they may use this to cover a fire and protect it from the rain. You want to test this theory? I warned you about the 9-volt battery and the steel wool. If that didn't work, might as well test this out, right? ready? Don't do that. Although I often do demonstrations of what not to do, I'm not going to be an idiot and jeopardize my own safety. Be safe, be careful. God bless you. I didn't mind jeopardizing the backpack. But let's just tear off a little piece, shall we? Just to make sure it doesn't blow away in the wind. We'll just keep it contained in this can. With some holes in it for ventilation. I demonstrated that technique in the Prepping for the Apocalypse series. This is a spin-off to that, I guess. It works together. Kind of like the custom design camouflage videos that I put out a while back too. Anyways, as you can see, I have the Mylar space blanket inside the can. Alright, so if you can see it, it's right there. I'm going to use this to see how effectively it catches a spark. Well, I'm showering it with sparks, and so far it's not catching anything. Okay, so perhaps that is another dud. I had to test it out though. Well, it's been showered with several sparks. Okay, nothing yet. Let's try using a match. That's not the typical way of lighting a match. Anyways, putting it down here at the bottom. Let's see how well it burns. Alright, there it is. It's melting, and it does stink, as you see. It's not an instant whoosh, but as you see, it does catch fire and it does melt. It's not a fireproof material by any means, but it didn't just automatically burn up with sparks, and even the match barely made it stink. I mean, made it burn. Whew, that's nasty. I'm gonna get that away from here. Whew. I don't think the birds like it either. Well, I'm a little disappointed. That's 2 demonstrations I tried that weren't very effective. Wah, 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 wah. Perhaps that's because I pray daily for God's protection. Thank you, Lord. I've burnt my fingertip because I was being foolish earlier. The dog got too close to the fire, tried to sniff it, and when I pushed the can away rather than him, that's how I burnt the tip of my finger. I knew not to do that. That's why they call it an accident. Oops. Anyways, as I just mentioned, these space blankets will keep you warm in a cold snowstorm, but they are not safe for a fire. Not recommended, not suggested not to use them. However, there is a fiberglass material emergency fireproof blanket that can be used as a thermal heat shield. Simply spread the emergency fiberglass fireproof blanket wide and carefully cover the blanket to smother the fire. Similar to the method that I previously demonstrated using the heat pad. Just smother the fire. Dirt is another easy, effective method to smother a fire if it's small and can be contained. Just throw some dirt on it. The important thing is that you snuff out the oxygen source to the fire, because that's what fire feeds on. The windier it is, the more the fire will spread. Airplanes really wonder what I'm doing today. Obviously, I'm in an open location. I wasn't going to do this off in the trees and start a fire. And of course, they can see the smoke. That always gives away your location. And it's a beautiful day in the apocalypse. Speaking of fires in the woods. Okay. Whoops, it's backwards again. There you go. You can read that, right? Well, hopefully you can read it. If not, hopefully you can read it backwards. Or hold it in front of a mirror or something and look at the reflection. Or just listen and I'll read it for you. As it says, Smokies, 5 rules of wildfire prevention. 1, only you can prevent wildfire. 2, always be careful with your fires. You, yes, you. And me too, of course. 3, never play with matches or lighters. Don't play with fire. Hey, what's going on? I was just about to do this cool stunt. It's gonna be hot. Cool, mind if we watch? Yeah, just don't get too close. Okay. I said don't get too close to me. Please don't get so close to me. Oh, okay, we'll watch over here. Hey, can we watch too? Yeah, I wanna check this out, dude. Come on, man. Woo! Yeah, check this out. It's gonna be hot. So that I can do all my own stunts and stuff. And so what I'm gonna do now, okay, is I'm going to slide on my head and then do a flip in the air. Whee! Wanna say? Yeah, we're ready. Okay, here goes. I'm gonna slide on my head. Whee! And I do a flip in the air. Uh-oh. Ah! Huh, whoops. Okay, that was a pretty lame example of playing with matches, quote unquote. Don't do that. But when you are having a controlled fire, like you're camping, you want to roast some marshmallows and all that good stuff, keep an eye on your fire. Being serious. That's what it says. And that's what you should do. Always watch your campfires. That's number 4. Actually, I like this one better. And of course, number 5, always make sure that your campfire is completely out before you leave it. Don't leave your campfire unattended, and make sure it's out when you do leave it. So once again, that was Smokey's 5 rules of wildfire prevention. Actually, I think I had it backwards once again. But only you can prevent wildfire. Always be careful with your fires. Never play with matches or lighters, cigars or whatever. Seriously, always watch your campfires and make sure your campfire is completely out before you leave it. And for more information, or for the same information I just shared with you, go to smokeythebear.com. That's smokeythebear.com. This right here and discuss things like that right there, if you can see it. And it discusses hazardous materials that include but are not limited to explosives, flammable gases and liquids, poisons and poisonous gases, corrosives, non-flammable gases, oxidizers, and radioactive material. Primarily flammable liquid materials. Flammable liquid hazards, and of course common electrical hazards. Don't want to spray water on electrical fire. So of course you need to discuss proper fire suppression procedures. See all that's listed out right here. Fire suppression safety. Of course you need to know the basics of how to operate a fire extinguisher. And this discusses that in quite detail. See? It discusses the common characteristics of water extinguishers. Questions you should ask before attempting to fight a fire with an extinguisher. Trying to suppress the fire with an extinguisher. To extinguish the fire. As it says, you got to assess the damage and consider the danger, possibilities of danger. Not just for the ones you're attempting to help, but for your own survival. It says right here, you must establish priorities, make decisions, develop a plan of action, take action, and evaluate your progress. Carefully listed out on that page right there. Here's a good page right here. It discusses fire chemistry. It was backwards, but once again, you can look at the reflected image, or you can actually go to ready.gov. Once again, that's ready.gov, and order your own copy of this handbook that I'm showing to you. This is the CERT booklet available from FEMA. You get on the site I just told you, ready.gov. You look up free resources. They're free. Many of their available resources are actually, you print them out on your own printer online. You order them online, print it out on your computer. You know, they want to save the paper. This is a physical copy. If you want a physical copy, you can order one while they're available. And if you see the letter CERT, that stands for Community Emergency Response Team. To respond, the community, not the firefighters. You in the community, to protect your own and to protect others. Because if you're out in the woods, or if you're under apocalyptic situations, consider this. If all the firefighters and all the emergency responders are in another neighborhood responding to other emergencies because they're breaking out everywhere, apocalyptically, you need to know how to respond appropriately and quickly and safely. When the SHTF, nobody knows what W2 to do, they are SOL. I'm trying to watch my language with that one. And you don't want to be SOL when the SHTF. No LOL and no oh well. Everyone are like, ah! You don't want to do that. You don't want to hear others do that either, seriously. Anyways, okay. Devastating wildfires are increasing and are going to increase in the future. So is devastating rainfall. Just look at the atmospheric river that California is experiencing or has experienced recently, depending on when you're watching this. And in an apocalyptic fire situation, the air full of smoke, ash raining down, there could be an increase in extreme fire events, followed by at least one extreme rainfall event. And the frequency of these events will increase, according to prophecy. Those are called birth pangs. Not because of global warming, but exactly because of Bible prophecy. Now, how to survive wildfires, right? If you see a fire, report it and listen to emergency officials. If they say to evacuate, grab your bug out bag, or what's left of it. This was actually a backup bag. Anyways, grab your bug out bag and leave immediately. Immediately. However, a quick response to protect your home is to close all the doors and windows, shut off the gas main, move everything that could easily catch fire, like all the leaves out in the yard. You want to sweep them or blow them away from the home, any debris or whatever. They suggest at least 30 feet away from your home. So get busy. You can wet down the area to protect everything. To help protect it at least. Perhaps collaborate with neighbors to establish a fire-free zone that is free of materials that may catch fire, free of any leaves or flammable materials. Use an outdoor hose to spray everything. And of course, if a fire starts in your home or shelter, have a fire extinguisher quickly accessible. Have a fire extinguisher quickly accessible. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher where you can get to it to be safe in an emergency of a fire, so you can quickly respond. And you need to know how to safely operate a fire extinguisher. You want to alert people by yelling fire several times in the event of an emergency of a fire. I did that one time in school to try to avoid taking a test that I hadn't studied for, and the principal didn't think that was very funny. And then another time, once again, I didn't study for a test, and I thought it would be funny to, can I use the bathroom? And then I went in the hallway and pulled the emergency fire alarm. Ding, 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 ding. Everybody went outside. I shouldn't have told you that. An example of what not to do, but that's back when I was a young hellraiser. Now I am a praise raiser, praising God. Hallelujah for the transformation and renewal of my mind. Anyways, you want to alert people of the emergency of a fire and go outside right away if the fire is not easily contained. Okay, now an easy 4-step process to operating a fire extinguisher. To remember the letters PASS, pass. If you know this and you're taking the test to be a fire instructor, then you will pass that test. I mean, to be an emergency responder, a community emergency response member, part of the team. You also need to know how to respond individually if you're by yourself in an emergency. Anyways, an easy 4-step process. PASS. 1. Hold the pin on the fire extinguisher. Most typical and traditional fire extinguishers will have a pin that you will be required to pull. You must know this before attempting to operate one. One time when I was a kid, my mom was in I'll just say a coat factory where they have expensive coats, and I saw a fire extinguisher and I pulled the pin and I wanted to see if it worked, to test it out. Yes, it worked, and showed a lot of money afterwards. The manager did not appreciate that. He did not think it was funny, and I had to help clean up the mess. My mom ended up, ironically, keeping those jackets after I damaged them. She wasn't enjoying it when she wore them. Suede, mink, stuff like that. Expensive leather. Anyways, obviously I spent a lot of time grounded in my room as a child, but I also knew how to climb out windows, so I didn't stay in my room. I ran away. I shouldn't have told you that. And that's an example of what not to do, and that's irrelevant to everything about fire safety. Although one time, while I was away from home, my parents didn't know where I was. They thought I was in my room, right? But of course I snuck out the window, went a few blocks down the road, and everybody was gathered out in the street, as the neighborhood tends to do when there's a house fire, right? And this lady was out in her yard going, "Ah, my baby!" I was only 10 years old, mind you, wearing a pair of swim trunks and a t-shirt. So I ran inside her burning building like a fool. Bravely but foolishly. There was thick with smoke. I got down. I knew to crawl on your belly because I had learned stop, drop, and roll, and to get low on your belly. They used to teach that in school. I don't know if they still do. But back when I was a kid, kids used to learn things. So I ran into the house looking for a baby. A human child. Did I mention I'm allergic to cats? So yeah, her baby turned out to be a cat. I'm in there, it's hot, smoke everywhere, I can't breathe. I got my shirt over my mouth because that's one way to protect yourself from smoke. Crawling on my knees, can't see, and I hear a meow. I'm like, meow. That thing was frantically scared. I felt bad for it. But even then, I was like, I can't touch you. Sorry, you gotta follow me. And that was one smart cat because it did. God must have had plans for that cat. And apparently he had plans for me too, because he spared us both from that fire. And as I'm running out of the building, the cat's running behind me, jumps to the lady, and she's all acting like I'm a hero. Oh, you saved my baby. It's not what it sounds like. It was a cat. Had I have known, I wouldn't have ran in there and risked my life for a cat. I'm sorry, I love animals, but I guess you can call me selfish or whatever when I was a child. Anyways, another story that I shouldn't have shared with you, but it is relevant to fires and emergency situations. Of course, when the firefighters arrived, they asked who they heard about it, of course, and said, where's your parents, kid? What are you doing running into a flaming building? Don't you have any sense? What's wrong with you? Grab me by my ear. They used to do that back in the day. I don't know if they still do, but anyways, he grabbed me by my ear. He's pulling me around. Where's your parents? None of the bystanders were my parents. They're all like, he's a hero. He saved the cat. So I stomped on his toe with my heel. He said, ow, and I ran off. Anyways, getting back to the fire extinguisher process, PASS. First, you pull the pin. Then you aim low towards the base of the fire, not up on top, towards the bottom of the fire, where it is growing from. Whatever's on fire, the flames rise from where it's burning, and the oxygen feeds it from the bottom. That's why I designed these cans with the air intake hole so that the air can feed it. And it works quite effectively. Anyways, aim the fire extinguisher low towards the base of the fire and squeeze the lever slowly. You want to squeeze it to make sure it gently releases it while aiming towards the base of the fire. And then you sweep the nozzle side to side. Yeah, right. But you put out the fire. And when you're using a fire extinguisher to extinguish a fire, you want to make sure to keep the exit at your back and back out towards the fire, spraying against it. That way your exit does not get blocked. Okay? Be safe. I may start a fire and put it out with a fire extinguisher here in a moment just to demonstrate that technique. Whoops, not sure if that was recording. I said I may demonstrate that technique here in a moment, start a small fire and put it out with an extinguisher. Because you probably want to see that and don't talk about it, do it, right? I was trying to keep this under 30 minutes. I'm a little bit past that right now. So I'm going to try to hurry things up. Before I do that demonstration, you should understand there are 5 primary types of fire extinguishers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 primary types of fire extinguishers. And each are designed to put out different kinds of fires. I showed you earlier that little easy spray was for grease fires primarily. That's why it's useful in the kitchen. And these are color-coded. Wait, backwards again, of course. Green, it's supposed to be red, blue, and yellow. It's not really looking right on camera. Anyways, green, red, blue, and yellow. And the letter codes, as you see, A, B, C, D, and for some reason it jumps all the way to K. Okay? Anyway, A is for ordinary materials such as cloth, wood, and paper. B is for combustible and flammable liquids like grease, gasoline, oil, and oil-based products. So that first one I showed, or that Spreezy spray, is like a B, classified as a B. And C is for electrical equipment like tools, appliances, or anything that's plugged in. Electrical fires. That looks purple, but it's supposed to be blue. Classified as a C. You can see this on the side of the fire extinguisher, A, B, or C. Most are typically A, B, and C. D is for flammable metals. I'm not going to demonstrate that one, but D is for flammable metal. And K is for vegetable oils and fats and cooking. Okay? And there you are. And if you're really serious about emergency fire response preparation, you can go to acefirepreparedness.com. That's acefirepreparedness.com. And there you go. Okay, now this is the most common fire extinguisher. We call it a kitty. And this is the pin that I was talking about. You pull like that. Okay. And the way this operates, you see, this will not work until the pin is removed. You can't pull this. It's a safety feature to keep kids like me from setting them off in the store. Back when I was a kid, that is. Little troublemaker. Up to no good. In the wrong neighborhood. But anyways, this God puts us in different circumstances to create character within us, right? And when you make it through those situations, you are a survivor and overcomer. Congratulations. Everybody goes through stuff when we're kids, right? Everybody does dumb stuff and makes decisions. And what's awesome about God is you can ask him for forgiveness and he will forgive us. Anyways, back to the fire extinguisher. You can see the instructions clearly written how to do this. Okay? And if you see, it's just like I described. PASS. 1, pull the pin. 2, aim at the base of the fire. 3, squeeze and hold the lever. And then 4, sweep from side to side. Side to side. Side to side. Pull the pin, aim at the fire, squeeze the lever, and sweeps from side to side. Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. This, of course, being fresh out of the box, has this tacky mounting bracket on it. Just going to pop that out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to take a few cotton balls. Use them as tinder to start a fire. We also got these wood curls. They light up real good. So there's a few of them ready to start a fire. Using my little fire starter stick here. Available for about $5 at Walmart. There you go. See how it caught fire pretty quick? Alright. Add a couple more cotton balls. Always watching your fingers. Put a piece of fat wood on there. There's a nice fire. Alright, I'll sprinkle a few matches on it. We'll have a good fire going in no time. Oh look, there's a fire. What shall we do? Dun dun dun. It's my first time to do this, by the way. So, pull the pin. Alright, there we go. Aim at the base of the fire. Alright. Spray. And put it out. There you go. If you can see me. That put out the fire. I didn't even have to spray it, just point it at the aim, pull the pin, aim it, and spray it at the base of the fire. However, there's still smoke coming off of there, which means it could reignite. So we're gonna go with the double tap method. Here we go. Whoo, that's actually rolling off of the extinguisher. Look, this looks like fog. Ooh. Now I get to clean up this mess. Nice. There you go. That's how you do it. That was just a small fire for a small example. So as always, be careful, stay safe, and God bless you. And stay tuned for the next adventure. That's going to be part 3.